This is an actor you might have heard of. His name is Steven Seagal. Say hi to everyone, Steven.
Hi.
Under Siege and films like that put Steven Seagal on the map. The movies he's in, you can't even call bad. They're just straight up scams. They're just horrendous. I want to explore Steven Seagal's late acting career and his work with movie director Keoni Waxman, responsible for directing such hits as Maximum Conviction, starring Steven Seagal and Steve Austin. He has also directed A Good Man, Mercenary Absolution, also known as Absolution. It's actually The Mercenary Absolution. Pick a title.
2 hours. Right back where it all started. Fuck you, bitch.
They have about 10 films together. That's more than like Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese.
I came here to make a deal with you, and any good businessman would always hear what another man has to say. I'm prepared to throw money down.
Keoni Waxman brings absolutely no personality or style to this kind of action movie. The only thing he has going for him is Steven Seagal seems to be willing to work with him.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. 'Cause now I will snatch every motherfucker birthday.
Keoni Waxman directed Cartels, Contract to Kill, End of a Gun, Mercenary Absolution, A Good Man, Force of Execution, True Justice starring Steven Seagal, Maximum Conviction, A Dangerous Man. On every single one of the posters, Steven Seagal is like a fat, disgusting mess. All I would have to make on YouTube for the rest of time is reviews of Steven Seagal movies. There are so many of them.
You don't want to be a gangster?
I could do it forever.
That's part of the life, bitch.
He's stupid.
I mean, I am the king of improv.
And arrogant.
There are so many bad movies to cover. How much more of my life can I waste on this shit? Wasted my life.
I was not born on a fucking turnip truck, man.
Cartels is a 2016 action film starring Steven Seagal.
And I was not born on a fucking turnip truck.
Let's watch the official trailer.
72 hours ago, my team confirmed location of Salazar.
Salazar is the boss of one of the most violent cartels in Eastern Europe.
Make sure we do not kill me here.
Steven Seagal is a producer on this movie. He is a producer on many of his own films. Steven Seagal does not even stand up in the movies he stars in.
Why not?
I set out on a mission to find a movie where Steven Seagal stands up, or maybe even does some fighting. After searching for a long time, I finally came across the film Cartels. You see Steven Seagal stand up, run around, and do some fighting. I think he's holding his gun wrong. Cartels also goes by the alternate title, Killing Salazar. Why do these movies need alternate titles? Killing Salazar, aka Cartels, was directed by Keoni Waxman. It might be the worst movie they've made together, which is really saying something, don't you think? The technical aspects of this movie, such as the lighting, editing, and basically anything else you can think of, is half-assed and cheaply done. The stunts aren't impressive. The music sounds like it's from a stock music website. The movie takes place in a lot of conference rooms, hotel rooms, interview rooms, cheap locations that are not that interesting to look at. The movie starts with about 1 million logos for film companies that you've never heard of. Action House? Are these even real? Oh great, a ton of text I have to read at the beginning. The Bratzi Krug, known as the Brothers Circle, an international drug cartel carved from blood and fire. The man behind the empire, Joseph Salazar, aka the Great White Shark. Oh, more? Half Colombian, half Russian, wed to the daughter of the head of the circle. The rise of Salazar can be charted through the bodies left in his wake. There's stock footage of cars burning and news footage. Cut to Steven Seagal running around holding a shotgun. Then they cut to Luke Goss sitting in an interview room. Then a name comes up. I guess that's the name of the character? Oh no, his name is Tom Jensen. So that was just credits? The credits are intercut between title cards telling you who the characters are.
Okay, well, allow me.
These transitions are completely pointless.
You are aware of the circumstances that led to the assignment of that day.
Was Steven Seagal on drugs when they were filming this scene?
One MIA, not to mention the disappearance of the Brodsky crew boss, Joseph Altuberon Salazar.
Not to mention the disappearance of the Altuve Salazar. The delivery of his next line is so bad, they don't even cut to him saying it.
Obviously, your statements include a large areas of omission.
Omission.
I want to see if we can set up a situation where I can clarify some of this.
I need to like raise the audio. He has these terrible designer glasses that are yellow and this black leather jacket. This is Steven Seagal adjusting his glasses. They look way too small for his head. Basically, Steven Seagal plays a DEA agent named John Harrison, who's interrogating Jensen on a botched protection mission for this guy Salazar. Salazar is the head of a massive cartel, but he flipped to work for the DEA. They sell crack according to the opening.
An epidemic of crack in New York is now out of control.
They're selling crack. The way it's told is so confusing though.
So as you know, we are now on what is considered U.S. soil, which means you're bound by the laws of the United States of America, and your answers need to be truthful. You understand that, right?
It's like they just read him his lines on the set.
You testified that she wasn't injured during the gun battle, so I'm a little confused.
The story is told in a non-chronological order, which just makes it even more convoluted. If only I could understand what Steven Seagal was saying.
We move on the go word. Everybody knows the drill.
Everybody knows the drill. There's gonna be a commenter. I didn't like the part, the Steven Seagal impression. I'm sorry to hear that. They gave him a little prop to work with. He can point things out on the piece of paper.
Okay, so everybody knows. They got this entrance down. Everything is exactly the way we wanted it.
That's an obvious body double. They're not even trying to hide it, saying dialogue while his mouth isn't moving.
Everything is exactly the way we wanted it. Make sure we do not kill this bitch you hear. I need him alive. Somebody knows. 72 hours ago, my team confirmed location of Salazar, and in his number 2 man, Bruno Sinclair, and greenlit the operation once and for all. That's the word go. I listed this.
Steven Seagal infiltrates Salazar's mansion. I don't even need to say anything during these scenes. Why was that a necessary addition? I don't think anyone does that in real combat. Steven Seagal constantly switches shoulders. What's the point of constantly switching like that? Salazar reaches for a gun and he just shoots him, and that's it. Isn't that the point of the movie? Killing Salazar? And it happens 10 minutes into the movie, and Steven Seagal basically has no reaction to it.
I'll get him out of here.
So that's kind of disappointing. There's a twist later on that Salazar is actually alive. How is that possible? It's dumb.
Did he indicate to you that he knew the true nature of the mission?
This woman sitting behind Steven Seagal does not say anything the entire movie.
This is the fucking come to Jesus moment. And I was not born on a fucking turnip truck, man.
Turnip truck?
And I was not born at night. I was born in a bright fucking sunny day, man, and I've been doing this for a long time.
I wasn't born at night, I was born on a bright sunny day.
Do not think I'm fucking new. Do not think you can play me. Get to the fucking nitty gritty here. What the fuck happened?
It might be hard to tell, but this scene is 40 minutes into the movie.
You see any weapons?
It's basically halfway through, and Steven Seagal is still sitting down in the same room, with no sign of him getting up at any point.
Seems like I'm getting a straight answer somehow now. Maybe we can start to get to the fucking bottom of this. So Chavez was captured, then what happened?
Salazar is alive because he was flipped by the DEA and they faked his death so that his cartel would not suspect anything and just go about their normal operations. This is all explained in like 2 lines of dialogue. It's so brief. As far as how they were able to fake his death, they really don't get into that at all. I guess it was a body double. Then he goes upstairs and comes across this random bartender. He doesn't report this interaction to anyone else. This bartender is later revealed to be a bad guy.
Did you report it to Chavez, your supervisor?
No, sir.
Why does he have 2 watches on? They throw in this random emotional scene where this guy's like, I served under your dad in Iraq. Okay. The cartel guys show up to kill Salazar in the hotel. They're posing as a soccer team, and they're led by Salazar's right-hand man, Bruno Sinclair. The character of Bruno Sinclair is played by George St. Pierre.
He has been a recurring role in the MCU. He stars in Captain America: Winter Soldier, and he also stars in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
He barely gets an opportunity to fight, and when he does, it's with fat-ass Steven Seagal. He's supposed to be playing the villain, the right-hand man of a cold and calculating cartel leader.
Who are you?
That looks like a body double for Steven Seagal right there.
You want to stay out of jail? Do you think I'm here to put you in jail?
No, sir.
What? What am I watching? The rest of the movie takes place in this hotel, basically, and it's supposed to be kind of Die Hard-esque. By that, I mean it's set in one building. I don't mean it's as good as Die Hard. Whoa, what? He just got up!
That's enough, soldier.
Steven Seagal is only saying lines whenever the camera is pointing away from his head.
Let's stand down.
Because all of his lines are dubbed in.
Let's stand down.
I couldn't hear what he said the first time.
That's enough, soldier.
Get this soldier out of here.
Get this soldier out of here.
And then he just sits back down in the same chair, and the scene continues like nothing happened.
Another thing that's been bothering me, I'm just kind of trying to put together the pieces and wondering why Salazar was fighting beside Keoni, backing Keoni up, which is another real fucked up kind of bizarre combination of monkey shit.
They send in the FBI to negotiate with Bruno Sinclair, and I guess this is the point in the story where Steven Seagal comes in.
Give me a set rep.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the guy you should have called when your shit went sideways.
Clearly on a different set, on a different day. At the end of the movie, he has to arrest this guy, Bruno Sinclair. This is the big climax of the film, and it's supposed to be this badass action sequence. Firstly, when Steven Seagal enters the building, he's holding his gun wrong again. He's lumbering around because he's so damn fat. Steven Seagal has such good accuracy, he only needs to hold his gun with one hand. He approaches Bruno Sinclair, there's one of his allies' bodies like on the floor, so he sits down and like, I don't know what he's doing. Also, that looks like a body double. So when Steven Seagal's done comforting the body or something, maybe he was looting it for ammo. The sound effects are over the top. What you have is a fight scene that is really funny, but not good. Steven Seagal throws him through a table. He does a lot of bad kicks and punches. The action scenes are fucking awful. Look at that body armor he has on. That isn't the padding of his suit. They just put that on him to hide the fact that he's so fat.
C'est bon. Viens.
I don't even know what he's supposed to be saying there.
C'est bon. Viens.
What does that mean? I looked up the subtitles. Apparently, if you translate whatever the hell he's trying to say, it means it's okay, come on. The sound mixing is so bad, I can't even hear what he said. Finally, he sticks a knife in this guy's neck. Because Steven Seagal is the good guy and he's a producer, he wins the fight even though it doesn't make any sense. They cut back to that interview room, which is in a building marked World Trade Center. There was supposed to be some kind of twist that you were supposed to care about.
Did you know that Armando Chavez's real last name is Salazar?
Steven Seagal sounds bored by this twist.
I can take it from your reaction that you're a little surprised. That Amanda Chavez, aka Amanda Salazar, was the little sister of Joseph El Tuboron Salazar, the de facto head of the Brothers Circle, Brodsky Krug, for the last 20 years. And the reason why everything went sideways is that Mike Darrow was too fucking stupid and greedy to realize that even the most outrageous, violent person like Salazar still has some kind of morals and ethics. And at this moment, we have no idea where anybody is or how we can find them. And they've gone completely off the grid.
How we can find them.
Find them.
Does he know that was bad? Well, he could just do another take.
Find them, and they've gone completely off the grid.
And he had to add that on too.
And they've gone.
Look at his lips. You can see the when his lips. It's because he's so fat.
Satisfied you're telling me the truth, and I want to see if I can ask you to help us out.
What was that? I couldn't even hear what the hell he said. And that's his body double again.
You said Joseph Salazar and Amanda Chavez are dead. How'd they die?
Who gives a shit what's going on anymore?
Did Salazar ever give you anything, no matter how minuscule?
Like Steven Seagal's minuscule penis? Oh, they did a little handshake. That's really cool.
I'm curious, would you have shot Chavez by the van that day if you suspected she was Salazar's sister?
There should have been more of a flow to how he said it. He should have said it like, would you have shot Chavez that day by the van if you had suspected that she was his sister? I'm curious. Would you have shot Chavez that day by the van if you had suspected that she was his sister? I'm curious, would you have shot Chavez that day by the van if you'd suspected that she was his sister?
I'm curious, would you have shot Chavez by the...
He's just like gets tired. Would you have shot Chavez? In the middle of this sentence.
Would you have shot Chavez by the van that day if you suspected she was Salazar's sister?
Would you have shot Chavez by the van that day if you suspected... And then like the rest of the line, he just fucking mumbles out of his ass.
See, it's nice to know you're still ethical, that's good.
And then Luke Goss rides off in the sunset on his motorcycle. That's the end of the film. The film is really just a boring pastiche of a bunch of action movie cliches from better movies that you've seen, like Die Hard. Any action movie about a few characters being locked down in one location. Then they transition to all these pointless scenes with these actors that aren't really worth billing on the poster, yet they fill up a majority of the screen time. Luke Goss, the girl, Salazar, they're just not that interesting. They try to give them some funny banter, but it just falls flat on its face.
Is that what weed smells like? Weird.
The only genuinely funny parts of the movie is whenever Steven Seagal is on screen.
And I was not born at night. I was born in a bright fucking sunny day, man.
With a budget of $6 million, it made a total of $100,000 from video sales. Some of the worst parts are just watching Steven Seagal walk around trying to look cool, holding a gun with one hand. Any attempts this movie makes at trying to be cool end right at this guy. Sadly, that's all I have to say about Cartels.
Do you know what happened to her? Turn up.
Before moving on to the next movie, I just want to read off a quote that Steven Seagal said about Keoni Waxman. I think that Keoni is one of the brightest young men out there. I think he's a wonderful director who understands editing, looping. I don't know why you use those examples, you know. A Good Man from the year 2014 is another Keoni Waxman and Steven Seagal team up. Steven Seagal looks especially bad in this movie.
What's going on?
Let's enjoy A Good Man, a film by Keoni Waxman. The opening of the film is going for some Apocalypse Now vibes, with the fades and the way the camera pans and the emphasis on the helicopters. It's definitely inspired by Apocalypse Now. Why? A Good Man starts the same way every one of his films start. He's on a random mission somewhere doing something. They cut to random stock footage of drones. Then they cut to Steven Seagal damn mumbling like an ass.
You got 15 motherfuckers in there with guns and you know it. This intel is fucked up.
What is the point of this? This character never shows up again. His buddy there?
But before we stick our dick in anything, we're gonna sneak up and take a good look before we commit. Here's the dead enemies and live friends and all y'all motherfuckers going home.
Roger that.
Let me tack up.
I thought Steven Seagal would call him in later to help out, but
No. They're using human shields. No joy. No joy.
no joy. He brings a sword with him, which he uses to kill one of the terrorists. I don't know if soldiers on a mission to hunt down like a terrorist would bring a sword with them. Then I guess he kills one of the targets.
No joy on the secondary target.
No joy on the second target. Why does he keep saying it?
No joy on the secondary target.
They're launching an airstrike against the terrorist who Steven Seagal just killed, and he found out that there were a bunch of children in the building, so he tries to call off the airstrike. They cut to stock footage of a missile coming in, and they jump out of the building. There's a huge explosion, and it turns out that the girl is dead. Steven Seagal let the child die. Years later, he's still having nightmares about how the mission was a failure and how he let a child get killed. Steven Seagal befriends his neighbors, a woman who works as a bartender in a strip club, and her younger sister.
Brought your new lock? Then let's say you and your sister want to keep using a screwdriver.
We cut from that to this strip club. These scenes are not gratuitous at all. This isn't gratuitous. Steven Seagal just shows up at the strip club. I don't know why. He just stands around and talks to the bartender.
I don't really come here to drink. It's just kind of a bad neighborhood you're walking through. I thought I'd walk you home.
This guy starts harassing her, so Steven Seagal beats him up, clearly a body double. Afterward, they go for a walk in a dark alleyway, like you do, and walk up to a group of Vladimir's henchmen.
Vladimir sent you. Tell Vladimir Pidaras if he has something to say it to me. Take this, I'm gonna talk to these guys. Can you do that for me?
And he gets into a fight scene with them. One of the guys pulls out a gun, then Steven Seagal kills them. Then he proceeds to light some sticks and tosses them next to the body. What the hell was that? Steven Seagal is Quelo, which is why he left those sticks there. He left his mark.
Again with the incense.
And the Chinese writing Kuai-Lo, it means white ghost.
And he's supposed to be this really intimidating vigilante, and no one knows who he is until the very end of the film. The henchmen go to Steven Seagal's apartment, he beats them up. Then he has dialogue, and I guess those guys on the floor are dead? Are they unconscious? Did they run away? Meanwhile, to keep her safe, Steven Seagal brings her to a church to hide out. They establish the church earlier in the movie with this scene where Steven Seagal walks in and talks to the priest. The bad guys go to the club, the brother tries to negotiate to get his sister back, and they just get in a fight scene that sucks. Then they leave the club and Steven Seagal is outside in the alleyway. He kills everyone except this guy.
It's a very, very special compound, but it's gonna be slow and fucking painful.
Who he tortures by putting some kind of liquid in his nose.
I really don't give a fuck.
That sums it up perfectly. That is exactly the way Steven Seagal approaches these movies. I'm glad he said that. I'm glad we now have a quote of him saying that. That is the best line delivery he has done in a long time, and that's because it's true. Nothing encapsulates this guy more.
I really don't give a fuck.
Steven Seagal makes a deal with Mr. Chen to bring him money and then they can get the sister back. Steven Seagal goes back to the church and finds the priest character beat up, and the priest tells him that the older sister was kidnapped. And this is when Steven Seagal says the line,
"Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Cause now, I will snatch every motherfucker birthday."
Steven Seagal brings them a bag of money to try to buy back the girl, but they don't accept the money, so he just starts killing everyone.
I thought you were a man of honor. I thought you were gonna keep your word. I thought we had a deal.
But it's time to make a deal.
Did you notice the bug flying around? They could have done another take, or they could have CGI'd it out or something.
I got some bad news for you. See, I lie for a living too. And guess what? I'm not a handyman. I'm a professional killer.
This is when Steven Seagal reveals that he was Quelo and he killed those guys in the alleyway, left the incense there.
I'm Guaylo.
Everything in the movie revolves around him
What's a high Guaylo?
and how supposedly cool he is. Nice sound effect.
This how you wanna go out? A man of war, a son of Guangdong, like this. Killing a child. You. Look at the total summation and see your last breath. Is this it?
Even the villain at the end of the film realizes the error of his ways and thanks Steven Seagal for showing him the path.
It took an adversary to show me the significance of life and death.
So the bad guy and Steven Seagal have a sword fight. That is the end of the movie. Sitting through this monstrosity was absolute torture, and the title itself is wrong. He is not a good man. He's a fat man. He's a piece of trash. Do not bother wasting your time on this crap. The film was a huge bomb. It has now gained a reputation of being one of the worst Steven Seagal late career films. It's become a trend actually where many internet personalities, YouTubers, podcasters make fun of Steven Seagal movies. This likely isn't the first time you've heard of A Good Man, the movie, but I hope I brought some fresh perspective on it.
So it is.
Be sure to check out Steven Seagal 3 if that ever happens. I don't know if it will. I plan on checking out more Steven Seagal films in the future, such as The Keeper from 2009, which is the first time Keoni Waxman and Steven Seagal worked together. Cartels is the last time they worked together. Then there's a few other ones I want to cover. Most of the Steven Seagal films I want to cover are Keoni Waxman's movies. I haven't seen some of them yet, and I want to get like a fresh perspective on it. Cartels, in this instance, there's a lot of Steven Seagal sitting down. And even though it's a later era film, he does stand up a bit more than usual, which is why I picked it. Attrition's an interesting one. I'm excited to cover that one. That's not directed by Keoni Waxman, but that film is actually written by Steven Seagal. So that one's more of a passion project for him. You know, there's just a million of them that you could review and talk about and dissect and make fun of, and there's tons of scenes and shots of Steven Seagal where he's fat, and you know, I could just do it forever. That's what I mean. I don't like Steven Seagal. I think he's gross. The films he makes and stars in are really bad, and I think they're funny and they're worth covering. So let's continue to make fun of him.